Alright. Back to court. Court stuff. Actually, let me drink some water. I'm parched. Alright. The court will now reconvene for the trial with Miss Lana Sky. Emma didn't come back. Oh no, our sidekicker is gone. First Maya, then Emma. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Hey, cowboy time. He's just drinking. He's drinking alcohol right in the court. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Glug glug glug. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know, you're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind. I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best if we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. No can do, partner. I'm gonna speak like this. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchid. Orchid? They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyhow. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Yee-haw! I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. It's the Oregon Trail. You died of dysentery. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowboy like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses, now don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Okay, he's saying he has an alibi, I guess. He just wasn't there. Well, how exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's so still, even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. You interred them. Videos of nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I erased the tape. Nothing unusual was recorded. Tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I erased a tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy has a flair for the dramatic, but isn't gonna do him any good. So, in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. Like rounds. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that it ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado, no, I know, lets rules get in his way. No desperados I know joined the police force. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, Just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner, can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. Does this guy avoid being fired? How does this guy avoid being fired? That's what I want to know. I mean, he was supposed to be fired, I guess, but he was only demoted, you know, that time. That incident. You used to be a detective, so you used the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course. Back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence. And yet you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism. Sorry, partner, I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. That's quite incredible. The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoes did say something like that too. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? Okay. What does desperado mean? I mean, I don't know the exact origins, but I imagine it's like, you know, a bad guy, I guess. Someone who breaks the law, a lawbreaker. Desperado. Desperado. Street side saloon. What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Spaghetti? Not even angel steak lunches can beat that Paula's vongole sepia pasta. Vongole sepia pasta? Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not at all. Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. But that's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. Now that's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, "Did you not want to raise her this year?" I'm just innocent. A desperate or reckless person. I guess, yeah, desperado, desperate, I guess that's the root word. A criminal, desperate criminal. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's right, partner. Or as you call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I best keep my cool. Before I use it though, I better up the ante. Okay, I think what Phoenix is trying to say is that we shouldn't use the fingerprints yet. So we have one thing that connects him to the scene of the crime, is just like, you know, his actual fingerprints. But actually I want to check this. We never got a chance to check this as well, so let's see. Incident number SO9, perpetrator was Joe Dark, was a serial murderer, and he was sentenced to death. The victims were Edward Jones, Jason Knight, Edith Kirby, Rachel Moss, Jeb Bates, and Neil Marshall. Neil Marshall, you say? Familiar last name. Head prosecutor was Miles Edgeworth, and the witnesses were Lana and Emma Skye, the sisters. The investigation task force was Damon Gaunt and Lana Skye as well. Okay, so Lana Skye was a witness as well as an investigator. And the head investigators were Bruce Goldman, and the other investigators were Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. Okay. Interesting. Interesting details about that. I don't think that's relevant right now, though. They say, my name is Saab, present by two scary systems, I was on the street since Luceno. Time to hit the trail. Time to hit the trail. What do I show? Again, Phoenix said not to use the, he said not to use the fingerprints yet? I don't know. Not to use, because I'm thinking that's what we need to show, right? Otherwise, I don't know. Let's see. IDs. 7777777. Is that? I don't know. Is that the cowboy? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe not. There's nothing else to show though that would prove, or at least not maybe not prove, but like that would connect them to the crime scene. I feel like. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing else to connect them other than the fingerprints. 7 lucky triple sevens. Lucky number 7. I don't know. Well, okay. I feel like Phoenix is hinting at the player not to show this yet, but I feel like this is what you need to show though, right? His actual fingerprints. He says right here, if I remember right, I was somewhere else. Haha! And I'm like, no you weren't. Your fingerprints are right here, buddy. You were there, so... Unless I have something that proves that he wasn't, like, somewhere, like, he wasn't at the saloon, he was, like, at the evidence room, maybe. Maybe not. Bruce Goodman. I can only assume, though, Bruce Goodman, that his ID card, like, was stolen, right? So someone else used it, most likely, so... Wasn't actually Bruce Goodman. So 9. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm gonna try. Because this to me is a clear contradiction. Well, Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene? The blood was wiped away. However, the luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? About the blood-stained fingerprints? Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints, found at the scene of the crime. Okay, what's his explanation? Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be the same place as the blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. The witness's explanation appears valid, although there is room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. By the way, how do you know that the victim was wearing gloves, or I don't know. Anyway, defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding someone or something. I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Okay, only natural will be there. I mean, it makes sense, sort of. You know, he's always guarding a room. You pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. I guess, yeah, we didn't know that before. I guess, yeah, that's his locker. And also there's a little weird thing sticking out of his locker after... After the video. Anyway. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from the locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. Okay, that's something new, I guess. So then, what about the bloody handprint? Wasn't mine, it's no mystery. Please explain. My locker is covered with my fingerprints. It just so happened the murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. The chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? Well, completely unrelated. Unrelated? They're as different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast while the other's a type of murder. He's right, although seemingly alike, they're totally different. I don't see what homonyms have to do with this. Or did you know the murderer was wearing gloves? Now, how do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a bloodstain on the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This sealed blood in the desert is just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. Too bad it wasn't me in that video, right, partner? What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video's the only direct evidence you have. But that video's next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. You know what? I think there is. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Well, now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall. Doot 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 la 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 da da. Because we've seen this cloth before, it came out sticking out of the evidence locker, but, when the whole shebang was happening, there wasn't this cloth showing up. But now there is, which can only mean one thing, I think. Hopefully. Anyway. Bring our attention back to the security camera. It's a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can be clearly seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. That locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Bloop. Rewinding the tape. Go faster, please. I really wish it went faster. But I guess you gotta wait for it to be the big reveal. Haha! There's no cloth. Oh, the white cloth, it's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order. It would seem that's the only... Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened the locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why does everyone stare at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. Yeah, he does. He actually, I guess he's telling the truth about the whole fact that he didn't really know a lot about the actual security system. I hate to rain your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say I opened that locker, now prove it. Right here. Like right here, right? It says right here that only the assigned detective's prints can unlock it. Indicator light lamp lights up when it's open. So, a fingerprint sensor. We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people in the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. Yeah. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? What is he? I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! He got shot. Shot by the truth. Order. Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Ole, please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure out the rest from here. We can? We can? Have a look at these floor plans. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right. The only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? Well, he was the VV victim. The VV. There you go. Officer Marshall was standing right here. There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct. Unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you, dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. Well, the man in the bedroom, I asked him to show his car, sir. And then he pointed a knife at me. Because, I don't know, I guess he was suspicious and all that. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, it would have needed to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. Yeah, because when you think about it, yeah, if you show his ID card and it has a photo of Goodman, it would be different, right? So it would definitely show the fact that, yeah, it's like, he's not Goodman. Oh, I get it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? What was he like? Is that like jerky? You got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. You see, I just had well, I guess you explain it as a plastic surgery, you know? Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Like, what happens if you do get plastic surgery? Can you use your old ID? You know, if you look completely different. I mean, I guess maybe not just plastic surgery. Maybe you got a haircut. I don't know. You know, some people look quite different from just a haircut. I don't know. The circumstantial evidence, he's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? You know, ironically, in the court of law, at least in real life, at least where I live anyway, you're not supposed to prove anything beyond a shadow of a doubt. Ironically, that's what I learned in high school. I did like a mock trial and everything. That's exactly what I said. I'm gonna prove the defendant is not the suspect, you know, not the culprit or whatever, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And the teacher totally just said like, no, that's wrong. It's beyond reasonable doubt, not shadow of a doubt, not beyond all doubt, you know, but within reasonable doubt. That's what you need to prove as a lawyer. But anyway, well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. This can't be happening. Again, it's so obvious he's the one. What can I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? The basics. For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside of the box. Oh gee, thanks, Mia. Just think outside of the box. Easier said than done. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. Or rather, I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was open in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later as it has been. Which means that he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. And after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Or perhaps, Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Okay. What is Mia trying to say? Or at least advice from Mia. How do we prove... like... I don't know. Why? What is the reason that will... I don't know, I'm confused myself. What evidence will show that Jake was there because he was in his disguise? Because he was in his disguise, something happened in the video, I guess. Blue Badger? No, okay, maybe not. I mean, the Blue Badger was in there, I don't know if it's relevant. Did he, like, you know, touch the Blue Badger for some reason? I did, like, check the Blue Badger for, like, blood, but I didn't see anything, so... Very well, let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker. Why did he have to open his locker? Because he had his disguise. Wow, what? I don't know. There's a glove there. Glove fell down there. Is it the same glove we have, or is it a different glove? I don't know. There's a knife. Okay. I can only assume he's sneaking away, sneaking past the camera. Put something in there. There's a cloth sticking out there as well. What was the question? Why did he put a cloth in his locker? Why did he put the cloth in his locker? Let me put a cloth in the locker. Wah ba ba na na ba na 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 na. Why did he put the cloth in the locker? Why did he put the cloth in the locker? Well, I mean, he used the cloth. Assuming it's not the disguise itself. I mean, I guess he could also just put the entire disguise. But then again, assuming he didn't see Officer Meekins. I don't know. Like, would he put the disguise there anyway if no one saw him? I'm not sure. Because otherwise, what would you use that cloth for? You would use it to wipe blood, maybe? That's my guess. Blood? Blood? CQC. Remember the basics of CQC. I see blood here. Where's the blood coming from? I don't know, but isn't that kind of weird? So maybe that's why he had to put it away. Maybe. It is very suspicious. I can only assume this is the last piece of the puzzle, so I'm just gonna... well, let's see. Well, for some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet. Yet? However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. Yeah, I was wondering, okay, either that blood was before he came in or after. I'm thinking, actually, yeah, I remember, actually. Officer Meekins, he got cut up. He got cut up, right? Like, well, during the little struggle. I guess maybe that's why his blood, like, fell on the coat. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that. So you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now, would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. Alright. It seems the time has come. Okay, his confession, apparently. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I was expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas I would be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. That'll be a lot of blood though. That's, yeah, way too much blood. We must find the truth. Under his supposed truth, like he's supposed to be telling the truth right now, but I guess even now he might be lying a bit. When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? The SO9 incident. 2 years have passed since the case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal of that day. Not if I have anything to do with it, or not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking to the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why I stole the detective's ID and dressed like them. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. That ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean, the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you would have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. Yeah. I mean, he planned to do this, but was he just lucky, or... The thing is, if he went in there, you know, and the glove wasn't stuck there by coincidence, then he wouldn't be able to open it, right? So I don't know. Was that a coincidence? I'm not sure. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only plan on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a one-in-a-million type person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way. with me knocking him out and everything. And by the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? Oh, the one he's shaving himself with? I guess, yeah, that is the knife he used. Oh, I didn't realize that. I don't know what to say. So you knocked Officer Meekins out and managed to escape. So you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day, there wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. But the blood found at the scene currently indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Only Bruce Goodman would know. And it was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence, maybe. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one's mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? You know why? Well, that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dock was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dock case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down the trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I better take another look at the files. Well, I think I already know. I think I already know why he's so, you know, doggone obsessed, you know, with this SL9 incident. It's because, well, I think we saw it before, but it's right here. Victims: Neil Marshall. You know, it might be a big coincidence, you know, might just share the same last name, but you know, it makes sense. Someone close to him got murdered by Joe Dark, apparently, or supposedly Joe Dark, I don't know. That's why he's so involved in this case, even after he was demoted. It's not just a sense of duty, it's also his own personal, you know, personal reasons. Revenge. Of sorts, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Then again, Joe Dark's already dead, right? So I don't know. Well, let's see. Take this. Well, Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name, Marshall, is mentioned in here. In the list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall. Yeah, I'm sure you heard the name. 2 years ago. Huh, cowboy. You received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? You must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders of Damon Gaunt, the then Deputy Chief of Police. Oh, that's who he is, right there. Oh, okay. Cowboy? Lunch lady? Goodman? The other cowboy. I guess. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Oh, okay. He looks pretty evil. Joe Dark. You know, villain. My brother fought Doc and was killed. That was the first time Doc left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. Is that a typo? Or is it a real word? I can't tell actually. I think it's supposed to be arranged, right? Arranged? Unless there's some new word I don't understand. Anyway. Arraigned and incarcerated, the case was finally closed. At least. Oh, it is arraigned? Actually, I don't know. What does that mean? I'm gonna do a quick Google check. Arrangement is a formal reading of a criminal charging document in the presence of the defendant. Oh, okay, yeah. I guess it's like a legal word. I'm not very up to date with like legalese, I guess. Yeah. Okay. At least according to public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Doc. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing is for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. Well, that was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Again, statute of limitations. Not satisfied with the resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Or at least, well, it's not exactly, I guess, statute of limitations. Statute of limitation only applies if the case is still open. I guess the case is already closed, technically, so... Officer Marshall plans to steal evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happened by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder of the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's gotta be more than just that. So if no one was murdered in the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries of the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. A sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Sky. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Star is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. Objection! Ah! No, I guess not. I rest my case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was a fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant Nani? Your Honor, wait. Emma. The defense has an objection, a scientific objection. Right? What do you mean right? Right? Mr. Wright? Mr. Wright. Are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. Okay, well, sure. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky Sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So, I ran over there and looked at it again. So, did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them... Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright, with regard to the incident of the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? I don't know, I don't get it. What do you mean, found nothing apparently, but how's it still... I don't know, It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Yeah, the glove one, right? Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer the question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If ever I need to concentrate, is now. What could be wrong with the handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? Oh, I don't know. Okay, this is a brain teaser right here. I do know, I mean... We found a glove at the crime scene, right? Supposedly someone used that glove. But we never really... I mean, assuming, you know, someone used that glove in the first place. Maybe not, though. Maybe they didn't use the actual rubber glove, right? This glove? You know? Assuming they used that glove, then it will have blood prints on it, but well, there's no blood prints on it, so I don't know. Tags uses more evidence from the incident. Guess that's it. Someone wearing a glove. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with this? Some blood here. I mean, okay, the blood print we found here of the marshal, that's just from the incident from him stealing evidence, right? I mean, that's no problem, as far as I know. But somehow this blood puddle and this blood print right here from the gloves, that's pretty weird, isn't it? And it wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't clean, right? I know the blood puddle was clean and everything, we can only see it with the luminol solution, or whatever. Let's see, there's a security video right here. I'm trying to look for the blood print. I mean, it's kind of blocked by the badger, right? So we can't really see if there was a blood print there or not. At least at 514-ish. 514, 515. Trying to look for it. No, your face is still blocking it, Blue Badger. Stop blocking evidence. I can't tell. It's like, I don't know. Okay. No, still blocking it. Your goddamn gosh, damn, I'm not face. I mean, that's the most we can see there, but I'm not sure if the face is technically still covering the handprint or not. I don't know. Handprint there. Wonder why that is. Yeah, that's the most it can move. I don't know if it proves anything, I don't know. There's also blood on this jar, which is weird. When you think about it though, if the blue badger's there right in front of that locker with that bloody print, then how was the print made in the first place if it wasn't made at 514? Maybe? Maybe I'm onto something? I don't know, let's see. Well, this handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only one thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. I was actually. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Well, take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's gotta be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? Well, as I was saying, you know, this face was in the way of the blood print this whole time. Maybe actually this is the key, as it turns out, because if it was in the way, there's no way that someone could have made the blood print, at least, you know, what we saw from the video anyway. So that blood print could have only been made before the incident involving the cowboy, right? Well, let's see. What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans at the crime scene. The Blue Badger's not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right. So long as the Blue Badger's dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. Nani? Another bull of truth. It reminds me of Danganronpa, actually. You know, Dangan, I believe, stands for like bullet, right? Either Dangan or, yeah, I think so, anyway. So that means, just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What do you say? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think through it scientifically. Well, when you think about it, if I remember correctly, the blue badger was put in there by Officer Meekins. When did he put it there? Would have to be 450, right? 450. So the only person who went into the evidence room before the blue badger was put in there in the first place, well, there's only two people. There's Miles Edgeworth and the mysterious 777777 guy. So I mean, I don't know. Is Edgeworth the true killer? Oh yeah, again? Well, not again, but like he was suspected of murder last time. Anyway. Emma. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room, right? Yes. After he put it down, it would have been impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. You know, unless, you know, they picked it up and then put the handprint there, but that's unlikely because why would they move the blue badger in the first place, right? So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the blue badger was brought in. Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but this is Phoenix Wright. Everything is possible. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is the other time. You know, assuming no one went into the evidence room afterwards, right? I don't know, because possibly someone could have went to the evidence room after the whole incident, right? Like the officer that came in to smack Meekins to wake him up. I don't know, maybe he had a bloody glove print, I don't know. But, well, let's see. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us, when did this first incident occur? As Ezra said, proof must be presented. A proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that could show that. Now then, will the defense please present the evidence? Evidence? Well, it's right here. We figured it out before. This shows who exactly went into the evidence in the first place. And yeah, like if we had like security tapes at the time, I guess before the incident maybe, then that would shed a lot of light, I think. But well, let's see. I know that Mr. Cowboy was in charge of deleting all the tapes, because apparently, I think that it's kind of like a policy in a lot of places. You have to just keep deleting the security tapes after 24 hours and everything. Like, there's nothing in the actual recording that you just delete it, but, well, that could invite a lot of corruption, I think. A lot of people messing with the evidence. I don't know. But anyway. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. In order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card. Oh, the ID card record. Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Ah. Ah! Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done? Never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the Lumino test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. Well, that means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. 77777 Sorry, what a coincidence. Let's look at the chart again. Yeah. Such a unique time and such a unique ID. Let's talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Well, since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. Oh, okay, that's something I didn't actually think about. Like two people entering at once with one ID. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777. They went in to smoke some weed. Amazing. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. I find out whose ID number is 77777. Well, that's 1 7 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of the ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 77777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. But that's ridiculous. Just how... I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask you a question. Yes? No, not to you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana? Don't be so stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number, and it's not 77777. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident. Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Okay. Lana's up here now. Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least I did. Lana, I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. Apparently we're sharing the same witness stand, or maybe there's two of them. I don't know. Are we just switching, every time we speak? Isn't that kind of weird? During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in the court? Can you look at me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye, and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! What an outrage! Order, order, order! Lana's remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom cannot be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Oh. Extension by necessity, I guess. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. Alright.